Hello, welcome back to CinemaBurger, where I bring you movie reviews from a different perspective. Oh, am I excited for this one today. We are finally here to talk about F9, the Fast Saga. This is the 10th movie in the 20-year franchise, and after being delayed a year because of COVID, it is finally in theaters, and we're finally back to the ridiculous stunts and Vin Diesel grunting. So this movie takes place a couple years later after, I guess, Hobbs and Shaw, and Dom and Letty are living off the grid in what looks like that same house that Hawkeye was living in Age of Ultron, where they're on like a farm. So Dom and Letty are there with Dom's son, with Elena, and I think the son is played by Vin Diesel's actual kid, which is cool. Oh yeah, so the movie opens with a flashback of, we finally get to see what happened when Dom's father died on that racetrack, and we see a young Dominic Toretto and Jacob, the brother, and what's surprising is they actually use younger actors to do impersonations instead of digitally de-aging actors, because I hate that. It never looks good. Another good example of a movie actually using younger actors was Dr. Sleep. But they show how Dom's father died in that car crash, and that another racer might have done it. So, like, this movie is about family. Like, I know they all say they're about family, but this one actually is. There are a lot of flashbacks to this time period. It's 1989. And surprisingly, this grounds the movie a little bit more than previous movies. Of course, there's over-the-top stunts and stuff, but we'll get to that. Oh yeah, so when it cuts to the present time, there's a car approaching Dom and Letty's house, and they freak out, but it's just Roman, Tej, and Ramsey. Apparently they got word from Mr. Nobody that his plane went down after he caught Cypher, played by Charlize Theron again. So Dom and Letty are like, look, we have this quiet life now, we have a family, we shouldn't be doing this, and Letty's like, I'm gonna go. And of course, the next day when they're about to leave, Dom shows up at the last minute, so they go figure out what happens. So they're in, I forget where, and they go where the plane landed, and of course they're doing outrageous stunts, and even, like, Roman is like, how do we keep surviving all these things? Because there's a thing where they have to drive over landmines. If they drive 80 miles an hour, they won't get killed by them. And at one point, it launches, like, Roman into, like, a crevice, and, like, they're getting shot at. And this whole scene is a better Uncharted movie than the Uncharted movie coming out is going to be, by the way. And Roman gets out of this vehicle that's stuck in like two cliffs, and it falls on him, and Tej and Ramsey are like, is he dead? And he walks out behind him, and is like, oh, we're alive. Like, throughout the movie you keep seeing backstory of like Jacob and Dom and stuff like that, and you actually see some street racing. And when Jacob shows up, it's played by John Cena, and he's like a mercenary. So it turns out John Cena, Jacob Toretto, was working for Mr. Nobody. And also, there's something they're looking for called Ares. It's another device that can control all machines, so it's like Skynet. And apparently Han was linked to that, so they have to track that down. And apparently, Dom got a postcard the day Han died. And, so Han's possibly alive. I mean, if you've seen the trailer, you know he's going to be alive somehow. So in this scene, Dom and Jacob are driving on, like, near a cliff or whatever, and Jacob drives his car off a cliff and is caught by a magnet plane piloted by Cypher. And there's also this bridge that's broken, like an old wooden bridge, like from Indiana Jones. So Tej and Roman drive over as it's falling down, of course, because physics, you know, they went out the window years ago. And then Dom keeps driving. He, like, latches his car onto, like, this rope thing. So he kind of, like, swings across the cliff on the car. It lands, it rolls a few times, and they're fine, of course. Basically, they bring back Mia because it's her brother, too, and they have to go to Japan, to Tokyo, to find where, like, Han's last whereabouts and stuff. And they also, like, they find out that Jacob's in London. Now, Michael Rooker was, like, working for Dom's father's, like, pit crew years ago, so Dom goes to track him down because after he was, like, kicked out of the family, Michael Rooker took him in. So basically, Dom's father was supposed to throw the race, and the other driver who supposedly bumped into him knew it, but it makes it look like this driver killed him, so Jacob is gonna try to hit him with a wrench, but Dom kind of takes the fall for it and takes the blame, so that's what happened. That's why he did the 5 years in prison. And turns out, like, only Jacob knew. He did something with the car to make it look like the engine would cease, but it messed up. So while they go to London, they meet up with Helen Mirren again to find out information because Jacob's in London. And then also Roman and Tej have to go to, I think, Germany. So they meet up with Shane, Twinkie, and the other guy from Tokyo Drift to get cars. And they are working for, like, NASA or something, and they're testing out, like, a rocket engine on a car. Now it's a Pontiac Fiera, but it kind of looks like a DeLorean. So that's bringing them characters back into the movie. So, like I said, like, the stunts good over the top. They end up using, like, magnet cars and things with magnets. But also, the movie gets grounded because of all the flashbacks to Dom and Jacob as younger people. So I do like that. Now, this movie is 2.5 hours. The last couple have been that long. Now, the writing feels a little like something to... It's like it's missing something. Now, Justin Lin returns to this movie as director. He's going to direct the last two also. Now, writer Chris Morgan, he has written every Fast and the Furious movie since Tokyo Drift. He wrote Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious, Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, Furious 7, Fate of the Furious, and Hobbs and Shaw. Now, they got a different writer to do Fast 9. I don't know why. But I don't know, something felt a little different about the writing. Now, Justin Lin's directing is good in this. It has been, but the last Fast and Furious movie he did was Fast and Furious 6, which was 2013. He has done one or two things other than that. Now, I noticed they use more special effects for car scenes in this one. And, like, when people are jumping on and off of cars, there's scenes where Jacob and Dom are chasing each other on top of cars. There's this weird scene when Jacob and Dom, like, have to get out of this old hideout that's, like, Mr. Nobody's, but it turns out Jacob used it too. And when they bring Han back, they explain how Han survived. So, back in Fast and Furious, after Giselle died, apparently Mr. Nobody had Giselle working for him as, like, trying to stop drug dealers. So when she died, Mr. Nobody contacted Han. It's like, you need, like, a purpose, like, you're work for me. So there's these two scientists that created this Ares device, but they got killed, and their daughter is alive. So Han has basically been protecting this girl while he's been in Tokyo, while doing everything else that happens in Tokyo Drift. So Deckard Shaw was also apparently working for Mr. Nobody, but he went rogue when Dom and the team put his brother Owen Shaw out of commission. So Somehow, Mr. Nobody was able to fake that car crash where Deckard Shaw hit Han's car and it exploded. They don't explain exactly how, which is a little annoying because we've been wondering for years, like, oh, how did Han survive? Because they show that scene in 3 different movies of how he died. They basically show, like, while he's in the car, and then, like, a wipe goes by and he's out of the car, and then while the wreckage is being looked at, you see Mr. Nobody and Han off in the distance, so that's how he survived. And they didn't tell anybody because that would be the safest way to protect this girl, the daughter of these scientists, because her DNA will unlock the 2 pieces because it's a MacGuffin device, basically. So, basically, the satellite's in orbit that connects with the Ares device. They have to stop the satellite from connecting with it, so they have to go to space and do it manually. So Roman and Tej end up going into space. Yes, they're going into space with a car with NAS and rocket engines. Remember when these movies were about street racing and stealing DVD players? Yeah, me neither. They, like, knock out satellite because whatever reason they can't do what they're supposed to do, and it reminds me of that scene from Gravity when, like, the space station's exploding. So while that's happening, Jacob and his team have the girl in this, like big truck with, like, a bunch of trailers, and having used magnet technology because when they were looking for Jacob originally, they found these magnet technology high powered. So Dom, Letty, and Han have these magnet cars with magnets on them that they can like push and pull cars around them, but it somehow doesn't affect the cars themselves that they're driving. But whatever. So there's some pretty inventive car chases. So throughout this, Jacob's been working with this like German like billionaire whose father is head of like some diplomat. So they're working together. They've had Cypher like trapped in this box because they have her after the plane went down to Mr. Nobody's, but eventually the German guy double crosses Jacob, and works with Cypher. So Jacob is helped by Dom because he needs to give him a second chance. So back in that hideout, like, Dom is being attacked by guards, and he's basically the Hulk now, so he's like punching dudes left and right, and he like pulls this thing to make this like silo fall down, and while he's in the water he has like a dream sequence. This is the first time the Fast and the Furious movies have had a dream sequence. But he basically sees like, oh, like his dad wasn't perfect and Jacob didn't kill him on purpose, so that kind of rectifies that like feud with the 2 brothers. So Jacob ends up helping Dom and everybody else to stop the satellite from going off and using the Ares device. So after they have a ridiculous action scene where Dom ends up driving that truck and he flips it over a billion times and he jumps out of it at the last second and it hits like a A-10 bomber that Cypher's piloting, but it's a drone. And he even does, like, even when Dom jumps out of the car and hits the truck with the plane with the truck or whatever, he even does like an action pose because they've done these stunts so many times. So after that, Dom gives Jacob a 10-second car honoring Brian when he gave him a second chance. So Jacob will most likely be in the next movie and helping them out. Cypher is free. She goes off somewhere. Oh yeah, Roman and Tej are still in space. They get picked up by the space station, and eventually they go back to Dom's house in California, and everyone's together. There's lots of family reunions and stuff. Shane, Boswell, and Han finally reunite, and it's a nice moment. And they have Dom's kids say grace. It's like, oh, how do you do that? It's like, just say what's in your heart. And then it's like, oh, they're waiting for one more person. And you see a familiar type of car, and it's Brian O'Connor's character driving up. But they're obviously not going to show someone in the car because Paul Walker is fortunately dead. But that was a nice little moment to have the characters, like, at least see the car show up. So they're like family and everyone's happy and whatever, and there is a mid-credit scene. Spoilers. Yeah, I mean, I should have said that in the beginning. So you see somebody working out, punching a punching bag, and the guy pulls his hood down, and it's Jason Statham. He's Deckard Shaw. And then he unzips the bag, and there's a guy inside, and the guy's like, oh, like, I'll tell you what you want, I'll tell you the drive with the plans, and then Deckard's like, oh, you mean this drive and these plans? Is like, why, if you had the drive, why you still keep me in here? And he's like, you know, I gotta stay in shape. And all of a sudden, there's a knock on the door to wherever Deckard Shaw is. And he opens the door, and it's Han. He's tracked Deckard Shaw down for trying to kill him. Now, and then it ends. So that's it. So presumably in Fast 10, there's going to be a rematch between Han and Deckard Shaw, because until now it's been believed that Deckard Shaw killed Han, but then in the next two movies he was kind of forgiven for that and welcomed back into the family. So there was a hashtag justice for Han, because it was kind of shitty that, oh, this guy killed Han, but Dom is friends with him now or whatever. So we'll see how that fallout plays in the next movie, and I'm actually very excited for that. So, what would I give Fast 9 on this, rate this movie? Now, first of all, I've seen some negative reviews on this, but this is the 10th movie in the Fast and Furious franchise. If you don't know what you're getting into by now, then this clearly is not for you. So, yeah, the stunts, it's been hard to top the stunts, because since with Fast 5, they've been trying to get bigger and bigger and bigger and crazier. But, like I said, with the flashback scenes of the brothers as kids, it surprisingly grounded the movie. But you did notice a lot more, like, computer effects with the car scenes and even, like, people doing stunts. It was a different writer than the last 7 movies. Now, Justin Lin was back, of course. I give this and of course they go to space. Now, I'd give it a, this is tough. You know what, I give it a 2.5 out of 5, because, like, I've seen it twice now. Some of the stuff drags on. It's not as fluid and sharp as the other entries. I know they're winding down, of course, but yeah, 2 out of 5 burgers. Definitely see it on the big screen, because it's a big spectacle. The characters are clearly superhuman. They don't get hurt. They even make jokes about not getting hurt. So physics and gravity and consequences really don't matter anymore. They keep bringing characters back alive, so possibly they could bring back Gal Gadot's character if they really wanted to. So yeah, if you're a fan of the franchise, definitely see it. If you've never seen one of these movies, this is not the movie for you. Now, they stated with Fast 9 coming out, this is the start of the final trilogy. So in the main series, there will be 11 total Fast and the Furious movies. They did talk about doing a sequel to Hobbs and Shaw, and then also a female spin-off movie. There might be some other spin-off movies, I don't know, but so this franchise may never end, honestly. Also, Vin Diesel talks about possibly doing a musical of Fast and the Furious, so I don't know. But like I said, this is not the most solid entry, but it's worth seeing. It has some really good character moments. Few, but some good ones. So, I think that's it for me for the Fast 9. We'll be coming out with some more reviews soon. This Fast 9 has definitely been the biggest box office movies of COVID, probably, and this really start of, like, the summer movie season. So, I'm CinemaBurger, and we'll see you soon.